Hello, Emma.
Hi, Paris.
Thank you for joining me for British Vogue to have a little girl chat.
Thanks for doing this with me.
We have met on the sort of activist circuit, but this is a little bit more glamorous. I want to start off with the question that I think we're all wondering, which is, why aren't you following me on Instagram, babe?
I really didn't know what you were going to say then. I felt nervous for a second, but now I am
Well,
very
you should
nervous.
be.
That is actually crazy. I was looking at your Instagram just yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, Paris is really good at taking selfies.
I'm a trans woman, so I know my angles. But yeah, it's all about, I've got like the one, if you look, they're all basically the same photo. You're following Gloria Steinem on there. Tell me about how you met her and...
Oh my goodness, she's the dream. I did this speech for the UN for this campaign that we launched called He for She. And I had like a massive case of the imposter syndrome because suddenly I was like, me coming out as this feminist was kind of considered, and I was like, okay, wow, anyway, the imposter syndrome hit hard, and I was kind of like, I need to go to some people who've been doing this for a while and talk to them. And
so you went to the top.
Oh yeah, I was like, okay, I think I need to go and find Gloria Steinem.
Okay.
And it was just a really helpful conversation because she was just so loving and accepting in terms of kind of everyone is where they are on their learning journey. As long as you're doing the work and you are actively seeking and pursuing understanding and connection genuinely from a curious place, then you're going to be fine.
I know that you took a bit of flack for being a white feminist.
I did, yeah.
To start off with, and which, you know, I really admired your reaction to that. I'm very curious because you're somebody who's actually engaged with that criticism in what feels like a very meaningful way. Why was that so important to you? And why do you think it's so difficult for people to examine their own privilege?
Social media is a really interesting space, and I'm always trying to figure out how to take care of myself, self-care. Reading comments that are intended to be nothing other than cruel and unkind is not good for my psyche on a daily basis.
Does it get to you?
However, oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah. I've had many days where, I call them duvet days, where I'm just like, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And, but what I wanted to say was, I also got some useful critical feedback that I wouldn't have maybe heard if I hadn't been engaging in that way and engaging in that space. And I saw the white feminism coming up again and again, and I was like, hey, this is clearly something that I have to meaningfully engage with. I have to understand this better. I want to understand it better. And, you know, Rennie is a friend of yours as well, I know.
Yeah,
and and her book, Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race.
Started a conversation
it did,
we've never had
yeah.
in this country.
And it put it all in one place, in one space, in a really clearly defined narrative and exploration. The journey really started when I went to university in the States. When you study history, you're given source A, source B, source C, compare the sources, compare the validity of the sources, etc. And so like you kind of do those as like exercises. But to actually sit in another country and hear your history told differently to how you have been taught it at home.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in my lecture hall and, you know, listening to my professor and genuinely turning around in the middle of I'm like, is anyone else having some kind of breakdown here? Because it felt so it was the first time I had a first-hand experience of realizing, oh my goodness, history is genuinely told from the perspective of who it's told by. And so I think really the biggest thing I took from Rennie's book was the desperate need to reform our education system in the UK and the way that we tell the story of how we have been involved in foreign affairs, in our relationship to slavery.
Which we never talk about.
Which
usually.
we never talk about.
And the wealth of this country was built on that.
We never talk about it, and it's not okay. It's just like deeply, deeply, deeply not okay. I had really considered myself to be well-read
Yeah.
and I have a
Yeah.
university degree and I have the label of my
Yeah.
university degree. And it just suddenly it
Yeah.
felt not meaningless or anything like
Mm.
that, but it felt like this needs critical analysis.
Yes. Yeah.
What I've learned, who I've read, why I've been told to read it,
Yeah.
who's been included, who hasn't,
Yeah.
whose voices are missing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it kind of set me off on a whole track of looking at
Yeah.
everything I'd learned. So it was a real, I mean, it was an awakening.
Why do you care so much about these issues? Because I know that for me personally, the reason that I became an activist, if you want to call it that, is because my life was really, really unbearable when I was at university, and I felt that I either had to change myself to conform, as what is acceptable. I could walk down the street and people perceive me as a woman, but also I felt that it was very important to me to, regardless of what I looked like, society needed to be safe for people like me. So it was actually a very selfish decision. I know that you've got a real heart and care about these things, but you don't have to do them, for your career, do you? There are people who have successful acting careers that don't take on all of these projects, and you devote so much time and effort and energy to it. Like, where does that come from?
I think I've always been this way, and I don't know why. Without this part, honestly, it's got to the point it renders everything else that I do meaningless. It just feels empty otherwise. I feel uncomfortable taking up as much space as I'm taking up and not speaking about any of this stuff. It just doesn't feel right anymore.
In my life, it's so important to have meaning. You want to feel like your life counted for something at the end of it, right? Can we talk about the state of the world, just generally?
Please.
Because
Please, can we?
I mean, I'm an optimist at heart, but I just
essential
cannot
to be an activist.
Yeah, well, you kind of have to hope that things are going to get better, but all the signs are pointing towards not very good, right?
Yeah.
And you must be worried about that, as I think we all are.
Yeah.
No matter what your political persuasion is, anybody actually happy with the state of, well, this country in particular, but just the world in general? How are you? What are you feeling the biggest threats are?
There's a great quote, and I'm gonna attribute it to the wrong person, I think. But they say that when disaster strikes, that's when artists get to work. That's when we roll up our sleeves and we go, okay, how am I going to tell everyone's stories so effectively that peace is possible, or more war is impossible, because everyone can see that everyone is the same and they can't be at war with each other. More than ever, I need to be around other artists that are being activists in their spaces. I need to be connected to, people that are sharing the, like, I didn't sleep last night either conversation. So creating space and bringing people together and bringing groups of people together has been such a balm for me in the last 6 months. It's helped me so much.
What's the thing that you've been most proud of in your life? Whether that could be a personal thing or it could be a professional thing. What are you like, I'm really glad I did that?
There's a number of different ways I think I've found to come through this and feel, to a certain degree, I'll let other people be the judge, but feel sane and feel normal. And I'm the most proud of that because sometimes I look at it all and I go, I was lucky to come out the other side of that.
Yeah, because it could have been very different.
I felt a bit like I was in the Matrix sometimes, and I'm like dodging, I'm seeing bullets kind of like go past me like this, and I'm like, okay, I seem to be navigating it. And sometimes, like, touch wood, but sometimes I do feel just some days I wake up and I just feel grateful and proud of that.
Yeah, good for you. Are we allowed to talk about the fact that you are going to turn 30?
This was really interesting. So I was like, why does everyone make such a big fuss about turning 30? This is not a big deal.
But as an actress.
Cut to 29, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so stressed and anxious.
Wow.
And I realise it's because there is suddenly this bloody influx of subliminal messaging around. If you have not built a home, if you do not have a husband, if you do not have a baby, and you are turning 30, and you're not in some like incredibly like secure, stable place in your career, or you're still figuring things out, there's just like this incredible amount of anxiety.
Do you actually enjoy all of this? Like, I know we
Which
feel
bit?
pretty comfortable here today, but
Yeah.
you know, this is not a natural situation to be in, is it, for
No,
most people?
it's
But
not.
for you, you know, this is what you do essentially,
It is what I
along
do.
with the acting. But this is, of course, you know, a part of it that you can't escape.
That's another thing I've sat in therapy and felt really guilty about, to be honest. Is like, why me? Why somebody else would have enjoyed and wanted this aspect of it more than I did.
Right.
And I struggle with, I've wrestled a lot with the guilt around that.
That's interesting.
Of being like, I should be enjoying this more.
Yeah,
I should be more excited, and I'm actually really struggling.
Right.
But
you
then,
didn't know what you were getting yourself into.
Well,
right?
I was not. That's the thing. Yeah, I was 9 years old, and I got literally picked out of a lineup in my school gym that wasn't even an acting school, and got the first part I ever auditioned for. I mean, it's like, it's so bizarre and otherworldly what happened to me.
Is there another Emma Watson that didn't go to that audition, that didn't get picked out? Who would you be?
Like that film, Sliding Doors.
Yeah, like Sliding Doors. Who is Emma Watson in
Yeah.
2019 that didn't? I mean, was it so long ago that you started on this journey that you can't even envisage who that person would be now?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, I'm 29 now. I got cast in Harry Potter when I was 9 years old. So, I mean,
Gosh, yeah,
and
20
making, I don't even have that many memories from when I wasn't, before I had the role. It was, I won this poetry recital competition, and I always loved poetry. I always loved writing. I always loved performing in that way. I think I would have done it another way. I think I maybe wouldn't have been in Harry Potter, but it would have, there's no doubt in my mind it would have been part of my life. And I think part of what's helped me find peace is there's been moments when everything just got so big and so kind of, whoa, where I almost had vertigo on my own life, and it's got so big I felt disconnected. And part of, I think, my sense of peace within myself has been in remembering my identity as like, I'm someone's daughter.
Yeah.
Like, I am my mother's daughter.
Yeah.
I am my father's daughter. I am a sister. I belong to a family. I come from a place. I have roots. There's a whole really big existence and identity that I have actually that's really important and weighted and solid, that has nothing to do actually with any of that. And
that's fantastic that you feel that sense of self.
Yeah, well, I haven't always, but I think reconnecting and remembering and kind of being, you know, I've had to ask, I'm like, am I still your daughter? You know, am I still like, it's because it has felt so weird sometimes. It's got so big sometimes.
Yeah.
And
how do you get away from that? How do you kick back and have fun?
I went and did my yoga teacher training a couple of years ago, and that was really fun, and I made friends doing that, and I love to dance.
Do you ever wish you could just put on a party wig and just go down any old... Do you? And just sneak out to the pub and... Do you ever wish
I don't go to the pub, but like sometimes concerts and bigger spaces like that, I will kind of figure out a way.
That must be quite exciting.
Halloween is great for me.
Wow,
Halloween is maybe one of my favourite nights of the year.
Yeah.
Because
you can be anybody.
I can be anybody. But people must come up and recognise you and say things to you.
Well, yeah, but Emma, it's not quite on the same level, you know? But I can get on the train, you know, and not be pestered. But you can't do normal things. I could go meet a guy off Tinder for a drink or something.
I don't want to bring it really heavy again, but like, I feel anxious walking down the street, right? I feel anxious getting on a train. I feel anxious being in public spaces because I never know.
I feel that too as a trans woman.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is it's different. It's totally different. And oftentimes it's not my safety that's a risk, but that feeling of, I think that's...
You can't go incognito.
Yeah.
You're constantly worried of people.
Yeah. And that's a lot of anxiety to live with. So Like you're saying you can't imagine, but I have just insane amounts of empathy for what it must be like to walk down the street. And
I hadn't thought about that, actually. I really hadn't thought about that, but it is that whole, is it okay for me to walk out the door today?
I met and I'm in contact with a 6-year-old trans child. That also really hit it home in a different, in a really different way of realizing.
Because it makes it real. There's a real people at the heart of these discussions.
Yeah, and like just being aware of, just being so afraid for this child and so scared about what this child might go through or experience in their life.
Yeah.
And just feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm British and I don't want you to be in danger. I just want basic things for you. That I'm nervous that you're not going to get. And that makes me really mad because there's so much more, having spoken and having friends who are trans, like there's so many more important issues that are not being discussed where it's like, we're dealing with like life and death stuff.
Right. I know what the answer to this question would be, but, you know, do you feel comfortable with me using, female toilets?
Oh my God, of course.
But does that depend on me having had surgery?
No.
What would you say? I don't want to dwell on this for too long, but what would you say to those people who would have an issue sharing a public bathroom with me?
Oh my goodness. I would say that's another human being. How can you... I understand fearing what you don't know. I understand kind of being like, oh, I don't really understand about this and I've never met someone, but go and speak. Go learn, go speak, go look into the whites of someone's eyes that's had this experience and tell me after you've done that you do not see or feel their humanity or understand their story, or that like there's any part of you that feels that it's okay to make that person not feel included. It's making people feel not included, I think, it's just such a painful, awful thing to do. And it has such big effects. I guess I'd ask them, have you ever felt that you weren't included?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt yourself not welcome somewhere, not invited?
Have you felt like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you're emotional.
Yeah, I have.
In what circumstances have you felt like that? It must be quite lonely being at the level that you're at. Because I know you've got good people around you, but they can't fully empathise. And I know that you'd be the first person to acknowledge that there's lots of great things that come with your lifestyle, but it must be lonely.
It can be, but again, I do the exercise I'm doing here with you now, with this other person, and we've even done it during this conversation, which is people say to me, I can't imagine, and I go, maybe not in that specific way, but you can imagine in other ways.
Yeah.
And it's the same for me, it's the same for you, it's the same for whoever this imaginary person is that I'm speaking to now, which is to say, you might not have experienced this in this specific way, but you will have experienced it in your life in some way, and you will know how that made you feel. And do you want to perpetuate that? Do you want to make somebody else feel that horrible, horrible feeling inside yourself, that someone telling you you're not welcome, you don't belong, you're not included, we don't want you here?
Yeah. I grew up feeling like that. I grew up feeling that I was ugly, that I was pervert, that I was mentally ill, that I wasn't, that society wasn't about. I've actually brought a book for you, actually, which is quite, is on topic. Do you speak French?
Not fluently, but I do.
Can you read it? It's the first book since Rennie's book that really blew me away.
Wow.
And he's so young, he's like 26.
I was about to say, he's so young.
He's so young. And
amazing.
He grew up in rural France, and he is gay. And he was bullied relentlessly, and he had all sorts of problems at home. And it's as much about class as it is about homophobia. And it's just so powerful, and actually, weirdly, it's got a lot of parallels with my own stories. And I would like to give this to you, but I can get you an English translation.
No,
if that's,
I actually love that you're giving it to me in French.
I
love that you're giving this is perfect, Paris. By the end of next year, I want to be able to read every word of this book in French.
Okay. On the book front, because we haven't talked about your film yet, and we should do, and we are all very excited about it, obviously. But did you read Little Women when you were growing up?
I'd watched the films, but it was really cool reading Greta's script because I have this theory. Might get me into trouble. I have this theory that really, I mean, Louisa had a lot of sisters in real life, but I think also she kind of put a little piece of herself into all of the sisters.
Right.
And I kind of think it's a really clever way, it's a really good literary device to explain that feminism, there's not one way to be a feminist, which we still seem to be struggling with, and I'm not totally sure why.
Yeah.
But I've realised with Meg's character, her way of being a feminist is making the choice, because that's really, for me anyway, what feminism is about, is choice, it's having choices. Her choice is that she wants to be a full-time mother and wife, and she loves her home, and she loves creating spaces and environments that are beautiful and homely and loving. And Meg's gift is that she holds space beautifully, poignantly, profoundly, with so much love. And there's this great conversation that I have with Jo, which is that Jo's trying to convince Meg that she should run away on her wedding day. And that, come on, we can go now. Like, if we leave now, we can still, you don't have to marry this man. You don't have to do this. Because to Jo, being married is really some sort of prison sentence. But Meg says, I love him, and this is my choice, and I'm really happy, and this is what I want. And just because my dreams are different from yours doesn't mean they're unimportant.
I need all your Meryl Streep stories, please.
Sometimes people ask me about other people who I've worked with, and I'm like, yeah, great. And I'm just so happy that when people ask me about Meryl, I can actually say good things. Like, she's the dream. She's all the things you hope Meryl will be. I mean, the twinkle in her eye, the kind of cheeky sense of humour.
So she is who she
joy.
appears
She
to us.
is who she appears.
Because not everybody is in the
Not
industry,
everyone
are they?
is, no. And she really is. What was really nice about working with Laura Dern and Meryl was that
love Laura Dern.
The way that the three of us knew each other way before we did Little Women was we met in activist spaces. About Time's Up, a year and a half before we ever worked together on the film. So we had this kind of allyship and this solidarity as activists that had been part of a certain movement before we ever worked together.
So many different amazing women that you've met and worked with in your career. And have you met Malala?
Malala Yousafzai.
Yeah. Because she cited you as an inspiration, and I just thought your reach is so global. I wonder what that meant to you.
I mean, she actually, I was interviewing her when she told me that the reason she had wanted to identify with feminism was because of my speech. And I teared up in the interview, and I was like, am I going to be able to keep asking questions? Because it did really, I was like, if Malala can be affected by what I'm doing or what I've said, then that's kind of about as meaningful as it gets, really. So that was really big. And then there's also, I spend time in silence every year. I do 10 days of silence every year.
Please tell me about that, because I love that.
Cool.
Please talk about that.
And at the end of it, there was this amazing, the room was mostly people that were older than me. And but there was one other younger girl, and she's like, I live in an ashram in India, full time, but I follow you on Instagram.
Wow.
And she's like, every time I see you doing what you're doing, I just want you to know that there's a girl in an ashram in India who's rooting for you.
I love that.
She's like, every time I see you, I'm just there rooting for you. And it's funny because I go back and forth I have moments where I'm like, I just want to delete my Instagram account. I just I don't want to do social media. I just want off. I want out.
Not before you followed me,
Not before I followed you, though, Paris. But yeah, and but then I think about her. I think about her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's meaningful. It is meaningful. Or it just felt really real to me that this stranger that I just sat with for 10 days quietly was like, no, from my ashram on the other side of the globe, I follow and I send you good vibes.
What do you wish people knew about you that you don't think that they do? What would you like people to know about you?
I played a symbol. I played someone that, and I know this because she's a symbol for me. So I understand how this happened. I don't judge anyone that I meet that is kind of like...
But you're not Hermione Granger.
But I'm not. And I'm also not what, weirdly, my name has also become to mean.
Right.
Which is that kind of the myth of how, of that whole story and what all of that means. And even people that are really close to me sometimes can't let it go.
Really?
Or just see just me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to go, no, I need exactly what you need. Like, I'm just as human as you are.
Yeah.
I'm just as insecure as you are. I struggle just as much as you struggle. And I get it. Like,
are you dating at the moment?
I am dating, yeah.
Are you?
As in not one specific person, but I'm going on dates.
Oh, you've got 5 or 6 on the go
at
any time of you.
No,
That's the headline.
I am dating in the sense that
you're dating.
I'm dating.
Yeah, you're out there. I'm just wondering how do you meet? Because obviously as a trans woman, it's quite complicated meeting guys. How do you can't just link man on Tinder, can you? How do you? I can't. Surely they're coming to you.
Dating apps are not on the cards for me.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky in the sense that because I went to university and because I've kind of done these other things outside of film, my friends are really good at setting me up.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
And what's really nice is even things that haven't worked out romantically, some of my best friends are people I got set up on a date with.
Are you friends with exes?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a sign of real emotional maturity.
And I didn't think it was possible. And it really is possible. And it's actually great. I never believed the whole I'm happy single spiel. I was like, this is spiel.
Yeah.
This is totally
Isn't
spiel.
it interesting, the stuff that we take
I
in
know.
and then have to unpack?
And it took me a long time, but I'm very happy. I call it being self-partnered.
Right. So I've got a really stupid question on here, and you don't have to answer it, but if you've got an embarrassing sexual story, what's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you?
Oh my God.
Listen, people don't ask you these questions.
I know they
Emma,
don't.
So I just want to ask you the things that people don't ask you.
I mean, I guess there's just been awkward stuff like making out with someone and then I'm on the telly behind us.
Right, okay.
Like,
I can hear when that happens.
I can hear the Harry Potter theme tune as I'm like, kissing someone and I'm like, do I turn it off? Do I just ignore this? Is he thinking about this? Is it just me thinking about this? Maybe he doesn't know what the Harry Potter theme tune sounds like. Maybe it's just
this
me.
This is an actual thing that you've been kissing a guy in the Harry Potter theme
there were adverts that would come on TV all the time. So if you have the TV on the background, which happens, but then I'm in this whole thing in my head and there's a big dialogue that goes on and there it is.
Wow. Thank you.
I can't... Only for you, by the way.
Well, as somebody who grew up not having a voice, and I didn't want this to be like a big, sucky up interview, but I just really admire the way that you raise up other people's voices and use your platform as a force for good. I think it's really great, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.